guys, so we already have talked into full discussion with domain, and now our focus is going to shift into range. So just a quick review about domain. If we have a function, guys, we already know that domain is what you're able to plug in. So if imagine this is my little lake with domain options. These are all my options that I can plug in to this function f. And my range in this case will be this pool of options. When I plug in this domain, I'm going to get this range. When I plug in this other domain, I'm going to get this range. These are my limitations on what I can get. So today, let's focus on range. Well, if I were to have this function, f of x equals x squared. Well, x squared, guys, is actually, it looks like this. It's a parabola going up. I already graphed it for you. Well, how do we know this is a function, guys? Basically, we know this is a function because we know the range. We only get one x for every one y. What does that mean? That means, if I'm going to make this a little smaller, if I were to pick this x, notice in my graph, I only get one y. If I were to pick another x, like a negative x over here, I'm still going to get only one y. Notice that we don't touch the y twice. No matter where I go, if I plug in this negative x, I'm only going to touch the graph once. If I plug in, let's say over here, if I were to move this further out, if I were to move this further out, I'm still going to touch it once. So this is what is known as the vertical line test. The vertical line test says, again, if you draw a vertical line, and let's do it in green. If you were to draw a vertical line, sorry about that. If you were to draw a vertical line, you would get something along this line, something like that. And the vertical line test says, as long as you're only touching it once, you know it's a function. So no matter where you go, as long as you're touching the graph once, it's a function. And that's basically where we go with range. As long as we only touch it once, it's a function. Let's look at this one. G of x equals x squared over x. Now, I know x squared over x could be simplified into just x. And the graph of 1 over x, or the graph of y equals x, is just a diagonal line, as you see in the picture. However, I know you guys see this little open circle. This open circle means, because what happens when your x is 0, guys? If your x is 0, that would mean that it's 0 squared over 0. And remember what we talked about the denominator of a graph? This would make everything undefined. You cannot have a 0 at the bottom. So because we cannot have a 0 at the bottom, yes, it is a diagonal line like y equals x. However, we need an open circle because we cannot include this point because it makes everything impossible. So let's talk about the vertical line test then. If you were to draw a vertical line test, let's say here. Oh, look, it's a function. Hey, look, it's a function. Look at the vertical line test. It's a function. But remember, the vertical line test has to pass, must be true in all sections of the graph. And if you were to draw this vertical line test in the middle, it wouldn't be a function because it is not touching any point. And that's basically how the vertical line test can help you understand if the graph is a function or not.